Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 6 of the Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The cool new flavors of spring and summer have arrived at Tim's with this year's lineup of delicious and refreshing cold beverages, including the brand new lineup of Tim Hortons frozen quenchers flavors. You've got blackberry yuzu, peach, strawberry watermelon, orange tangerine, and the new pineapple dragon fruit. And also, backed by popular demand, the Oreo double stuff iced cap. Delicious and refreshing. And Ray, I'm going to give you a guess. Where do you think I don't know
I can see what it is. I know that pen. I know that pen. Anywhere. A little twist to the left and that magic writing utensil gets to work.
Well, normally it's the Delta Winnipeg, but I'm not in Winnipeg. In fact, I'm in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and a bit of a reprieve, just a 48-hour break from the Stanley Cup playoffs in round one, because Katie Dreger is one of the leads in The Music Man tonight in Thunder Bay. I mean, she has been oh, look at that.
Look at that. Look at Zuby. Well done, Zuby.
Very nice. There you go. April 26th. One night only. Yeah, Thunder Bay Community Auditorium. Yeah, been working hard, but I was talking with Ryan as we were getting set up, and it's to me, it's not a big deal, but anyone in the theater background who has the musical aspirations that Katie does, Ryan, my family, all this. So apparently, all the rehearsals she's been doing, they changed at the last second the key that she's supposed to sing in, because there's a live symphony, an orchestra that's participating in The Music Man, and they haven't rehearsed together. So the first time, I think Thursday, maybe yesterday, Friday, we're recording here Saturday morning, she learned that the key that she has been rehearsing in for quite some time is no longer the key that she will be singing in tonight. So
I have two questions. Okay. One, I think you might have answered before. Where does the musical ability come from? Because it's certainly not from you. And two, I'm assuming that's a big thing, the key thing, because it's out of my realm.
Yeah, there's Ryan. Yeah. He says it's a big thing. And Holly is the answer to both. Like, the musical background comes from Holly and her family. They're all very musically inclined. I'm a complete loser in our family musically. Mason is incredible. He's never had a guitar lesson in his life. And that guy plays he was obviously born to play the guitar, sings. Katie, unreal. It's not me.
It's awesome. Me. Yeah.
But Ryan, you explain. So Holly said that it's like you being a right shot, then somebody hands you a left shot hockey stick and says, "Okay, go play with this."
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a range that they can sing in, and you practice in. And if all of a sudden that changes last minute, that'd be like me saying to Ray, "Okay, Ray, every second answer on the pod, I need you to do in German." Like, you don't just change keys magically, but I'm sure she's super talented and will be fine.
Yeah, she'll be fine. I texted with her this morning, and she goes, "No, everything's great. I'm fine. We made the adjustments. It'll go well." So, anyway, looking forward to that tonight.
Awesome.
Let's get into the headlines, Ray. Brought to us by Tim Hortons, and it just feels. Of course, we're going to start with a Canadian series. I don't know why I say "of course," but let's start with the Montreal Canadiens and the Washington Capitals. We don't have to unpack the whole game, but were you at all surprised at the pushback of the Canadiens and the fact that, this is going to be a series, or was there enough evidence in what you saw in the first couple of games of that series to know that Montreal was not going to go down without a significant fight?
I was not surprised in the least. Two things the Canadiens showed, I think, in Washington was that they have like a bounce back or resolve that's much like their coach. Like when Marty St. Louis played, right, he was kicked to the curb about 3 times.
Yeah.
And he just kept coming. Each time he got kicked to the curb, he came back harder and tougher and more committed, if that was even possible. And so in game 1 and game 2, it's the same story. Caps blew him out of the building in the first half of the game. Canadiens gradually took it back over, and Washington won each time. So I really wanted to be at the game. Of all the games that I wanted to be at in the first round, I wanted to do Game 3 in Montreal. That's just not the way the TV deal works in the States. So I knew it was going to be bedlam, and it's not just in the arena there, right? Like it's everywhere around it and in the city, and so I suspected it was going to be a hell of an effort. But there was so much in that game. It was
crazy.
It was loony from almost the whole game, really.
Almost,
and and part of it is that. Jack-Eye goes into the lineup, so he's going to want to puff his chest out a little bit, and Washington's very aware of him, so they're going to kind of push back against him right away. So there's going to be that physical component. You knew Montreal was going to have lots of zip and energy, but that game was 3-3. Like when Ovi scored, it was 3-3.
Yeah,
and so now you're one moment from disaster for Montreal. And now it looks it's going to be wild. We'll get, I'm sure, into this, but it looks like each team's going to have their backup goalie playing. Like, how does that happen in the same game? And neither guy looked great.
No.
Like so I mean, Thompson looked worse, but at this stage, what's a degree of worse, right? Like if he's not, not in, you're not in.
No. Who does that impact more? Montreal
Montreal for sure. Montembeault in games 1 and 2 was so great. Like, man, he was unreal. The first game, that game should have been over in 7 minutes, and it was 0-0 still. Like he was amazing. And then in game 2, in the last 10 minutes of the third period, Thompson was unbelievable.
Yeah,
but I think Montreal leans more on their goalie than Washington does. And Charlie Lindgren played in the playoffs last year. Dobish played the 7-8 minutes of the second period. In the third period, he only had 8 shots last night.
Yeah,
so I think it impacts Montreal more.
The word of the day or night being Friday night: shenanigans. Your favorite word,
we love it. Whereas Big Al should have been in Montreal last night.
Well, across the board, because I mean there was so much going on and off the ice yesterday. But we'll wrap up Montreal and then we'll get to the Edmonton LA series. End of the second period is where the shenanigans really hit the fan, right? With Tom Wilson in the middle of it. Of course he would be. Josh Anderson, just a melee, but. Would you expect anything less from Tom Wilson? I mean, he's just the guy that drags you into stuff like that, not in a negative way. I'm not being critical of Tom Wilson and how that all came up into the dust up, but just part of what he means to the Washington Capitals.
I'm not so. I'm a big Wilson fan. I think he's as unique a player as you find because of his size and the way that he can skate and. We get 33 goals this year. He kills penalties, and he's tough, and he's mean. And the other thing is, with a lot of guys like that, you look at them and you think, that guy's not very smart. And he's not he's a smart guy. Like he knows, and I don't mean just in a hockey sense. Like he's a bright guy. He's also very sharp about what he's trying to do and accomplish on the ice. And when that door opened up. When that door opened up, I laughed at Spencer Carberry, who had stepped over the bench and he was trying to settle, the thing. And then when those two monsters come flying in the door, it's a good thing he's young because he could jump over the bench again. Could you see if that was an older coach? He would have got steamrolled. And how about the linesman in the middle trying to break it up? Like it was comedy. But here's the other thing. If I'm Carberry, I pull Tom aside today and I say, Tom, get what you're doing. It's a 3-2 game. You cannot do that because we lost you for the first 12 minutes of the third period.
Right.
I mean, you probably don't have to tell him that anyway, but I would make it very clear. There's no reason for you to be in a scrum.
Right.
Like this. Yeah. We just can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because who lost in that one?
Yeah.
Or Montreal or Wash? Well, Wash did for sure.
Wash did. Yeah. No doubt about that. It's going to be a feisty series, and often we see that, but this one is legit and it's natural. Okay, over to LA and the Edmonton Oilers. That game got a little bit sketchy for the Oil, but in the end, the outcome is what it needed to be. The Oilers beat the Los Angeles Kings in Edmonton. So prior to that game, we learned Cal Pickard was getting the start. Were you at all surprised or
no? No, I mean, they did it last year, right? You remember in the first round, Pickard played games 4 and 5 and was decent enough in game 4 that they played him in game 5. And he played well. Like he didn't steal a game. He didn't lose a game. He was just steady. And Skinner had been all over the map, kind of what went on in the first 2 games here. As far as what was I surprised? No, in that sense, but it didn't feel very steady ever.
No, it didn't. No.
Yeah, for Edmonton. I mean, I guess they've got a decision in game 4, but I think I would probably come back with Pickard.
Yeah. Evander Kane has made an impression already in this series, right? So he scores a goal in, I wanted to say, typical Evander Kane fashion. And that's not fair to him because he's got offensive talent. But, I mean, that's the type of playoff goal that you would expect from somebody like that. Right. He's going to create chaos, right? So LA calls goalie interference. All right. They go to video review. It's ruled a good goal, as we know. And then the Oilers do what they had to do in the moment. They seize the opportunity. Evan Bouchard scores on the power play. So before we get your thoughts on Kane in general, I want to hear from Connor Brown, his line mate, who just kind of, in a nutshell, describes what Evander Kane brings to that line and brings to the Oilers.
He's one in a million, man. It's unbelievable what he's able to do when the lights are on. I mean, Caners is incredibly. I thought he had a great game tonight. Not only did he obviously have those 2 big impactful, but I thought he was holding on to the puck. You know, he's forechecking well. I thought our line was able to sustain some offense, and a lot to do with him. And you know, I missed a full season. It took me about 60 games to score, so it took him 6 periods. So there you go.
So there's Connor Brown. I mean, the important part, aside from obviously he has an appreciation for Kane being back into the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers, but just acknowledging how difficult a task it is, the ask to, put a player into the Stanley Cup playoffs after missing as much time as Evander Kane missed. So did you expect him to be as impactful as it appears he is in a couple of games?
I had no real sense of what he was going to be. Kind of like Landeskog. They missed, different amounts of time, but like, how would you know? Like after being that far out of the mix for so long, and you can only really ramp up your training at a certain point, and your skating, and then they got to be mindful of how many minutes they give him, because no matter how hard you train, you're not in game shape, and this is the fastest game you're going to play all year. But he's, like when he was healthier and a little younger, he could score off the rush more. Mm-hmm. Like he can get out and he could really shoot. Like he can really shoot the puck. But if his game has to be a bottom of the circle or top of the circles down game, he's big enough and strong enough to impact there. Given the way that their forward group is, they need him to be able to contribute. And he had a terrific game. He had an impactful game in game 3. Yeah.
You mentioned Landeskog, and I don't think we've talked about him and his return to the Colorado Avalanche on the podcast. It's unreal. Like people have asked, I'm sure you've talked about it on many different media platforms, but it's difficult to describe. Maybe you can, because you've had knee replacement surgery, you've had all kinds of stuff, but really the procedure that he had in the transplanting of cartilage as a pro athlete, you're just not supposed to bounce back from that. It really, all it is to give you a better quality of life. Yet here he is playing in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's just a remarkable story.
Well, there's advancement, there's research, there's that the medical community does on a daily basis, we get, if you're playing, you get the benefits of it. Like the knee surgeries I had when I was playing, I'm sure they don't do them the same way now, 25 years later, and guys get better results, right? And that's just the way it is. But the mental ping pong of emotions you go through when you're rehabbing, for him to do it for 3 years, I don't even really know like how he would do it. The physical side's one thing, right? But the days you go into the locker room and it's you and the training facility, it's you but you and the therapist, the team's on the road. There's nobody else there. It sucks. Like, I can't even tell you how much you get tired of looking at the therapist. There were days the therapist said to me, like, Ray, just go home today. There's nothing going to be accomplished here. Just go home.
Just because you were in too much pain and there was just so much
mentally,
going on?
Mentally, I was just so shot and pissed off and like, nothing's happening. And you say to the therapist, like, when is this going to feel better? And what's he going to tell you? He doesn't know. Right. Like he's following the protocols, and Landeskog had to do it for 3 years. Kane had to do it for a year. Mm-hmm. Like I admire the battle of that so much. It's amazing. It really is remarkable to come back and play.
It truly is. I mean, one of the great stories of the year, maybe of the decade, maybe ever. Let's see how it plays out for Game Landeskog and Colorado Avalanche. We're darting all over the place here.
We got to get to that goalie challenge, do we not?
Oh, yes. Let's the LA goalie interference. Yeah. Yes. You didn't like it, or you just
what were you challenging?
Yeah.
Your goalie was swimming around.
Too risky for sure.
It was like your goalie had tennis shoes on, right? He's swimming around in the crease. Too risky, Dregs. There was nothing there. You can't. Yeah,
but the video guy must be buzzing down to the bench, obviously, to say, hey, this one's a 50-50. Jim, it's your call, 50-50. Do you want to challenge? Yeah, let's challenge. I mean, that's how it
great.
Plays out,
that's great in beer league hockey at 11 p.m. on a Thursday night. But like that is potentially a series-changing call. Because at the worst, if you just let it go, it's 4-4. If he says it's 50-50, then why not take a coin out of your pocket, flip it in the air, and if it comes up right, then challenge. Like that challenge made zero sense. It had no chance. Like no chance, none. And so to say, oh yeah, we got a good penalty kill. Okay, so I'm going to give McDavid and Draisaitl a free chance.
Yeah,
you've got a great penalty kill. The game's 4-4. Edmonton had done not much in the previous 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Like to penetrate and get real chances.
Right.
It goes 4-4 on the tying goal, 5-4 on the power play goal. And now that building is about ready to come apart. Like you've changed the trajectory of the game and you just didn't need to do it. It was a bad challenge. I mean, there's lots of times, Dregs, lots of times you look at it and you go, oh, I don't know. I could see that. Maybe this.
Agreed.
What were they challenging? That Kopitar, and even if the goalie was pissed off, like lots of times the coach will back up the goalie and challenge because the goalie is sour and he's like, I got interfered with. Mm-hmm. That's fine. He doesn't see the video. You do. Right. When he's looking at that video at his feet, they had to see that the stick that got into his feet was Kopitar's. It wasn't Kane's.
Yeah.
Like that to me was that was a blunder.
So if I were a general manager in the playoffs, I would use an example. I'd use every challenge as a homework assignment on off days. And I would send the clip to my video people, to my coaching staff and say, all right, let's have a quick conversation here. What would have you done in the moment? Now, it's a hard thing to go through because you do make different decisions in the heat of the moment too, right? But I don't know. I didn't see it quite as clear as you. I wouldn't have debated, though. I think it was way, way, way too risky to make that call at that point in time. So, but I wonder if other clubs around the playoffs, of course, they pay attention.
Oh, okay, Dregs, in game. Well, they should.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
I did game 1 of Florida Tampa. it was 2-1. Florida scored. Nate Schmidt scored. The goal-scoring machine, Nate Schmidt. He's got 3 goals now.
Bobby or Schmidt.
Unbelievable. So he scores. John Cooper challenges, and like we're looking at it, and you're like, I don't get it. I mean, it was like a maybe, kinda, sorta.
Yeah.
But they challenge it, and 14 seconds later, it's not 3-1, it's 4-1.
Right.
Like those challenges, I just don't buy this. Oh, you never know, and they know. Like there are some that are closer than others, and the one in Tampa, I didn't like the challenge. The one last night, I thought was not even close.
We'll get to the Battle of Ontario. We'll get to Winnipeg and St. Louis here in the Tim Hortons headlines in just a couple of minutes. But I know that you're going in for, was it Game 4 of Tampa and Florida? Yeah,
right? I am. Yeah, they play Game 3 this afternoon, and then we got Game 4.
So it isn't going to matter. I mean, but what were your thoughts on the Hagel suspension? The one gamer for taking out Barkov. Worthy?
Yeah, I think so. Probably because I think that probably tells you about Barkov too.
Yeah. With the injury, obviously.
Yeah. So if Barkov returns to the game, maybe it's a fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a huge loss for Tampa. It's a huge loss for Florida as well. I mean, Barkov's so good. He's just so good.
Really? Yeah.
But Florida clearly has Tampa on the ropes, and they've got him frustrated. And Florida gets Aaron Ekblad back tonight for Game 3. Like, they looked like a machine. Matthew Tkachuk was so good in the first game. And I am going to say, you know how we say like the temperature of the games and the pace of the games all go up in the playoffs? In just the games I've done, my chirping leaderboard has Tkachuk way up at the top because he was biting in his critique of some of the Tampa players. Brendan Gallagher, out of sheer volume, is at the top. When he said he had to spend a lot of time in the dentist chair, I told you I see a lot of myself in Galley, like chirp. Like, I wonder how many times the dentist had to go, stop for a second. I gotta do some grinding here. and then he had something else to say. But those two guys have been prolific in their volume.
Yeah. All right. Battle of Ontario, and let's use the word shenanigans again. Pre-game of Game 3, Nick Cousins and a couple of other Ottawa Senators in warm-up, firing a puck, lobbing the puck, just shooting the puck towards Anthony Stolarz in the Toronto end. Not a huge deal. I mean, social media is hilarious to me because, as soon as I reported that this was being investigated, there's likely going to be a fine. I mean, now you just get the crazies from both sides of the fan base piling on, and some of it was quite comical. I mean, it's certainly not the worst thing that we've ever seen. I mean, you think back in your day what the warm-ups looked like, and it was just absolute mayhem.
you would have never done that.
Because
geez. Somebody would have fired one from the other end waist high. Like that, that would have been, which I guess is what the fine is all about. Mind your own business and don't stir the pot, because the retaliation could make it really bad.
Well, and optically, I think that the league, just to quickly interject, so it's a $25,000 slap on the wrist is really all it is for the Ottawa Senators. But I think that the reason that hockey ops decided to go that route is thinking about tonight's game, Game 4. And the last thing that they wanted in warmups was Ryan Reeves standing at center ice, just peering, just being the general and staring at all the Senators. And there's a belief that was going to happen. Maybe it still does. He's
why
not going to play,
Why wouldn't you warm him up?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Just
have him skate up the red line.
But just tell him, don't be there used to be tough guys in the league, and we used to talk about them the way they'd patrol the red line.
Yeah.
And like they'd be like literally if I was handling the puck and it just kind of went up to the red line, I just let it go. I was like, there's no chance I just would not ever go to that red line, because somebody would either shoot a puck off your ankle or slash you in the back of the calves. And then, if you dared to stop, then there'd be what it looked like with Anderson and Tom Wilson. And so like that red line, man, that might as well have been a canal. Like you were not going over that red line.
I don't like sweeps in the playoffs. Well, unless the Stanley Cup final, I want to get home soon, and then I cheer for whomever wins the first game. But round one, I just don't like sweeps. So I don't think we're not going to see a sweep in the Battle of Ontario. No. I don't think we are. No. I am, though, growing more and more amused at watching Craig Berube on the bench of the Toronto Maple Leafs and just looking at Travis Green and the Ottawa Senators. And I don't know what's going through his mind. Like, Timmy Stützle draws a penalty on Lorentz the other night. Did it look like there was a bit of embellishment? Maybe. There was another penalty involving Brady Tkachuk where, again, it looked like he sold it early in the series.
Okay, but hang on. Yeah. So if Chief is pissed off, what did he think when Paul Bunyan was slashing away?
Yes,
in net, like stop Ridley it. Like you can be angry, and sure he's just looking over there going, "Oh, I'd like to." What he's thinking? I'd like to grab one of these guys.
Oh, 100%. That's what he's thinking.
And then he's back there. His tie's not done up because it can't stay up. He's policing Mark Savard. He's busy back there. He's got a lot.
He's got a lot of stuff. That was, and I don't think the Leafs were overly amused by it. Again, that's the stuff that just brings a smile and a chuckle to me because you see him stop. What are you doing when Savard is cheering on the goal?
And he's just happy. He's just happy, right? So. But I'll say one thing about this series. If I'm looking at this longer range, let's say I'm gonna say Florida's gonna win. Even though they got a 2-0 lead, they got both wins on the road. Statistically, they probably should win.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's say Florida gets through. Let's say Toronto gets through. Toronto's not winning the series against Florida, playing 5-on-5 like that. No, they're not, because Florida will grind you to a pulp.
Yeah.
And I think like Ottawa has played large chunks of games really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've seen a little bit of what experience can mean, and what skill can do in the 3 games. Like you give Toronto a power play, and whether they're great power play goals or not great power play goals, whatever, it doesn't matter. Man, they're in the net, and they're in the net fast. They're demoralizing. Then you take now you got to back off a little bit. And I think Ottawa's made some young mistakes, and Florida's not going to make those same mistakes.
All right. Wrap up headlines with the Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Last game, is that an easy game if you're Scotty Arniel and the Winnipeg Jets to flush, as we like to say this time of year? Feels like they need to, because not only did they bend in that game, they obviously broke. Chase Connor Hellebuck out of the net, in the third period, all of that. So is it an easy game to just say, look, we have respect for our opponent. This St. Louis team is a good team. It's one game. We still have the series edge, so let's not make the same mistakes in game 4.
Edmonton or Florida won the Stanley Cup last year and lost 8-1 in game 4. Now, the problem is it knocked them a little bit off kilter, I think, Florida. And it took them a couple of games, right? And then they ended up what could have been an easier finish for them. Yeah. All of a sudden, because they got pumped, Edmonton, they're like, there's our life breath, right? And Edmonton swallowed it up and they pushed it to game 7. I would be worried that St. Louis found a little bit of their game. St. Louis is a good team. And so I would say for Winnipeg, it's easy to flush. It's easy to tell yourself, it's 7-2 or 3-2. What the heck's the difference? Yeah. But there is a little bit of a difference, I think. And so now Winnipeg's got to push. They've got to push back tonight. it would be awesome for them if they can win, but in the very least, they have to shove back hard. And if they can do that, I think they're going to be okay.
Excellent. Well, just a great menu of hockey, not only on this Saturday, but moving forward. So looking forward to all of it. Those are your headlines. Thank you to Tim Hortons. Ask Ray and Dregs anything. You can send us your questions on X, Instagram at Ray and Dregs, or on the website, rayandregs.com. A reminder, Ask Ray and Dregs is brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction pro, you're looking for work in Western Canada, Acon wants to hear from you. Acon is a North American construction leader, proud to be one of Canada's original industrial contractors. They're building some of the largest multi-year industrial projects in Western Canada, and they want you to be a part of it. So join the Acon team by sending your resume to trades@acon.com. Raymond, as we bring in Ryan Rashad, are you okay? Like, what's going on over there? Like, I'm trying to read the ad for Acon, and all I'm hearing is like,
yeah,
okay,
I'm a little sick, Dregs. You know, I'm not.
Okay.
I mean, I know you've had to drive from your house all the way into the fucking studio twice this week, so you must be exhausted. So,
hey,
yeah, I'm fighting away here.
Well, yeah, we can't tell. Anyway, it's.
Oh, really? And by the way, are we going to get into this? Are we going to get into this? When your head is as red as a frickin' tomato, and
let's do it. Mom and Dad are fighting. I love it. Get them, Ray.
We're looking over there, and we're like, oh boy, Zuby's got a lot to do today.
Zuby's got lots of editing.
Some days they call him Zuby Scissorhands. He's back there fixing so much.
Zuby and I were talking about it, Ray, because Zuby actually, like, people probably won't even hear you clearing your throat because he goes back and cleans it up after the fact on the audio. Zuby. So people might not have even heard it, but I shot him a note halfway through the show. I said, did Ray drink a 4-liter of half and half before he went to bed? Like,
oh man, I woke up today, and so we got to go early today because Zuby's got lots to do with the fam and stuff. So
yeah.
And so I woke up, and as I was walking downstairs, I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it's like it'll be good in a half an hour. Of course, we'll be finished and on to other things, but
you remember Peter Maher? Of course you do. The Calgary Flames, legendary big booming play-by-play voice. I did a world championship with him one year. I don't know what year, 2005 maybe. And he had a little jar, bottle of, I think it was white vinegar and
apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, maybe. Like, and 2-3 times a period, he'd take a sip. And I said, like, Pete, what are you doing? Oh, gets rid of the bad stuff. You know, and I guess it was just phlegm cutter, right? It would get rid of all that stuff.
Well, I don't usually have I don't usually have that problem. Maybe I should look at it. Maybe a little nip of something else might clean it up too. You never know.
All right, Ryan, what do you got for us?
We'll have to send you a microphone with a mute button. And by the way, I was happy today that
here we go.
The least popular one because of this early wake-up call. Not to air out our dirty laundry, but the chats. So it says from Zuby, hey gang, anyone want to start even earlier tomorrow? Smiley face. I know it's Saturday and all might help me with the rest of my family day off and stuff. How about 7:30 or 7:45? And Dregs is like, sure. And Ray goes, give me 7:45. I don't want to get up earlier than I have to. And that was
in other words, we're doing it at 7:45.
We do enough of these bloody things at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, all right, can I? Anyway, thanks for helping out there, Ryan. Really appreciate your support in this. Okay,
I always got you, buddy. You know me. I always got you. Okay, so let's go back to the Washington-Montreal game. So after the whole, the Ottawa game, after the whole Ridley Gregg thing happened, Travis Green is asked about it, and he has this to say to the media. I'm just going to play it off my phone here.
The NHL apparently looking into some pucks getting directed at Stolarz during warm-up last night. Like, what do you make of that?
Well, Mark, it's an active investigation. I don't know if I should be commenting on it. So.
Have you reviewed the video?
I have people that have advised me maybe not to comment on it. I'm kidding.
Okay, so there it is. He continues to kind of say like, they know each other. He kind of downplayed it and such. Well, all of a sudden, ba-bang, $25,000 fine for the organization.
Yeah.
So Chris in Toronto says, gentlemen, do you think Travis Green's comments the day after had anything to do with the league fining the team as well? He was clearly joking and it was funny, but did it look like he wasn't taking it seriously enough? And was the league sending a message? Dregs, Chris in Toronto is asking.
Yeah.
That.
No. The league had decided well in advance of Travis Green making light of the situation that there was a fine that was going to be levied. I mean, Cole and Campbell hockey operations just decided that they weren't going to poke the bear, as we talked about it in headlines. I mean, you send a slap on the wrist financially like this to Ottawa, well, maybe that prevents Toronto from rolling out Ryan Reeves and doing something goofy in warm-up or on and on. But no, the decision to fine them was made. I just think Greener is having fun. He's like, back in the days we talked about, Ray, this is so small in the bigger scope of the series that I think that's what Travis Green was making fun of.
Well, it clearly was finding the whole thing just like, are we seriously there? The term active investigation cracked me up. I just love that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys must have seen the TNT thing with Shaq and Barkley. There was some fight in a game and they called the police. Yeah. And those two guys found it so amusing.
Did.
They're like they called the police. He's like, they were dying, and it was basically what Travis was saying. Like that, honestly, like do what you're gonna do. Let's move along. We got other problems.
Okay, a bit of a random one here from Tom Shaw. Subject line is selfish players. Guys, I love the show. Listening from beautiful Seattle. Ray, what do teammates do with selfish players? Puck hogs, shooting the puck too much, staying on the ice too long. Does the coach handle this, or are there ways that teammates take care of those problems? Thank you, from Tom Shaw, Ray.
The guys that shoot too much or stay on the ice too long are generally your best players. And so they're probably better being on the ice too long or not, like what is a rank and file player going to say, or a coach going to say, if David Pastrnak takes a minute 25 shift and he shoots the puck 4 times in a game when he shouldn't? Here's the thing. Those guys, the guys that are, I'm not real sure who he's referring to, of course, but the guys that I'm thinking of that you would say, he's a little bit of a selfish player, they're generally goal scorers. They're generally the best players on the team. And you need them on the ice. And what they do, other players can't do.
Right.
And the other part to that is it's not beer league hockey. Like if you're the selfish player, well, he's long gone. He's not at this league.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, but hold on. Were you ever on a second power play unit? Like you were always like a top peep. All right. Well, there had to have been a number of times where you're looking out there at first power play unit and they're just banging a puck around. It's not getting in the net. And then they change with 6 seconds left in the power play. And that's what you get.
Yeah, that's
you were okay with
that? But here's the thing. It's like it's not like everybody pat your teammate on the back all the time. You're pissed off. You're like, get off the frickin' ice. All right. Like, okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. In LA with the Kings, who is one of my favorite people in that organization? You know him. He's a Hall of Famer.
Robitaille?
Luke Robitaille. Luke would go out in the first power play. We'd be the second power play. And they'd say, okay, second power play, so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Guys would fight to not take Luke. Because when the puck got shot down the ice, Luke would go stand on the side of the ice farthest away from the bench. And so when he'd come to the bench, he'd go, sorry, guys, I did not know we were changing. Like, stop it. He just wanted to stay on the ice. Like, of course, if I had to take Luke, I was pissed off at him the whole power play because I wanted a chance out there too. But that's the way it goes. And that's the way it goes.
Okay, this last one was a long DM that was sent on Twitter, so I'm not going to read the whole thing from D. Smithson. But what I'll just sort of paraphrase it. Going back to the Strome Logan Thompson incident, we will call it. Basically, he wants to know if any of you have ever accidentally done something to hurt somebody, either on your team or that you care about. Because in one play, he managed to cross-check him in the neck, kick him in the pills, and put him out of the game. Like in one single play there. It was sort of a threefer. So have you guys ever had a situation where you accidentally hurt somebody you didn't mean to, or that was on your side?
Maybe just emotionally.
Yep.
When you say something really stupid. Yeah, I would be guilty to that, I would say. But not like that. I mean, that was...
Like off a face-off or something like that? Like you never... like.
I don't think I've clipped... I don't think I've clipped somebody with a stick or hit somebody with a stick off of... That's a good example where every once in a while, like somebody would go for... someone's throwing themselves into a big hit and misses. And you might be on the receiving end of that, but I didn't throw any of those hits. So I'm going to say no, not for me.
Okay.
That was a tough one.
Could even be off the ice too.
Yeah, no, I'm going to think on that off the ice. No, I don't think
Dregs,
so.
did you ever accidentally throw any of your friends into a bush out of anger? Have you ever done that before?
Yes, I have. And that was you. And you deserved it because you mucked around with my wallet. A man never touches another man's wallet. You just don't do that. That's offside. All right. But I did have something regrettable. I think it was like grade 9, grade 10. And, just when it's still funny to hit somebody in the sack, right? Like one of your buddies or any of that. So I used to play this trick where I'd have like a tennis ball on a string. Yeah. And so you put the string to the nose, and then I'd step away, and I told my buddy, okay, I'm just going to measure how far the ball is from your knee. Well, he's not really paying attention. And so I said, okay,
which knee were you aiming at?
Yeah. So I pulled the ball back on the string and let it go, and guess what? It swings and just hits him clear in the pills.
See,
and he was so unsuspecting. Garnet Ferguson was his name. Like he rolled around on the floor for 10 minutes, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't mean to hurt him that badly."
Okay, when did you stop laughing? When did you stop laughing? After like 40 seconds, or
like
you
a
had
minute
a good
or
laugh
so.
out of it.
When
he must not have known you at all. Like he must not have known. If Darren Dreger walked up to me with a tennis ball and a string and was like, "Hey, I want to try something," buddy, you would not get within 15 feet of me.
Yes, you were so correct.
Moment, but it was funny.
You were so correct, Ryan. You were so correct.
I had a bad one when I was a kid. We were me and my brothers were wrestling with my dad on the living room floor. I was pretty young. I was maybe 11, 12. Or maybe 13, whatever. And we were wrestling on the living room floor. And 3 days later, he was leaving to go on this outdoor adventure with the company. They were going to do like mountain climbing and all this active stuff. And we got a little rambunctious on the floor. And I don't know why. I had his arm. My other two brothers are on him, holding him down, and we're just giving her. I had his arm, and I just got overexcited, and I rammed his hand into the ground. Completely dislocated this thumb. Like his thumb was like down here. Like it looked like that. And he has a moment of adrenaline, threw the brothers across the room, and it's like, bah! And he gets up and he snaps it back into place and he holds it up and it's all gnarled like this. He ended up having to go mountain climbing with a cast on his hand. So to this day, and this is my late father, I felt so bad. I got a little excited, boys.
Apparently
that's a tough one. That's a tough one to come back from.
You should have got throat punched for that.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, the old throat punch. Throat punch.
We'll bring that back on days like today when Ray's in his best moods. We'll bring back throat punch. Subi and Dregs get an honorary one for today. That was Ask Ray and Dregs Anything brought to you by Akon.
Awesome. Thanks, Rish. Ryan Rashog joining us as he does at least weekly, but he's kind of sneaking in. You know,
he is
like
more
even
and
on the
more,
pods. Yeah, you know, he's
the people are asking for it. They're asking for it. Just giving them what they want.
Example. Yeah, there you go. All right, buddy, we got to get going. You've got to spend some family time. We're going to the Sleeping Giant Brewery for an hour or two this afternoon. You know,
so
the Sleeping Giant National Park? Yeah.
I sure don't.
No. Well, Google it. Sleeping Giant Park, National Park, I believe, just outside Thunder Bay, Lake Superior. You know why it's called Sleeping Giant, right?
6'7" guy fell asleep in the park one time.
Well, no, but I'll take a picture. It literally looks like a giant is sleeping on the water. That's what the island looks like from afar. Looks like there's the head, there's the body. Looks like he's got his arms wrapped across his chest.
Do you know what I'm thinking of right now? Is like on vacation when Chevy Chase goes to the park and they're like, "Sorry, Moose should have told you up front. Park's closed."
Yeah, well, we're not going to the park. We're going to the brewery. You know, just don't have all that.
Enjoy. Well,
all right, buddy.
By the way, wish Katie all the break a leg or whatever they say for that. I hope the show goes fabulous and you guys have a great time and enjoy the rest of the weekend. We'll talk to you somewhere next week.
Yeah, early next week. We'll connect again here on the Rain Dregs podcast. All right, sir. Safe travels. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yes, thank you to our sponsors who continue to support Ray and Dregs and make the podcast possible. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, and thank you, as always, to Akon. Enjoy the playoffs this weekend, everybody. Stay safe.